Okay, so continuing on from yesterday's topic, I want to delve into that idea, the idea of gear lust. So the topic of today's video is the paradox of choice. What does that mean, Luke? Don't fret your little viewer minds, because Daddy Luke's here to break it all down for you. Buckle up. The Paradox of Choice is a book in theory by American psychologist Barry Schwartz. It's a really good book. I read it a few years ago, and it definitely changed my mind, not just on camera stuff, but on like marketing and capitalism in general. But simplified, generally, you will fall into one of these two groups of buyers or consumers: maximizers or satisficers. In 2019, I think most of us fall into the maximizer category. If you're an American, for sure. The maximizer just pours over every option, and they look at every angle because they're so concerned about making sure that they make the right decision, the right purchasing decision. And this leads to stress. This leads to buyer's remorse. This leads to buying into all marketing hype, and essentially just putting yourself into like endless placebo where you think you made the wrong decision with your purchase, or the grass is always greener on the other side, right? The satisficer has their standards. It's not as if you just like flip a coin and buy the first thing. But the key differentiation between the two is the satisficer is not constantly worried that there might be a better choice out there. Some studies have shown that the satisficer approach is actually the maximizing strategy. Let that sink in. TLDR, being content with the product you chose. While not being stupid and not doing any research at all, right? Like you do some research, but you're not worried that there's going to be something better. And so I'm going to break this down for you in a way that there's no question. Whatever choice you make for a camera within reason, you should be happy with. So I'm gonna equate this to video game consoles. Personally, I believe cameras move at about the pace of video game consoles. And when I say that, I mean, let's say previous gen consoles were 1080p cameras. So that's like all your DSLRs, right? Your GH2, your Canon 5D Mark III, that's last gen. Current gen is 4K to 6K. Right? That's your current gen. That's the GH5, the GH4, like 3 or 4 Blackmagic cameras, Sony cameras, those all fit into the current gen. And then next gen is 8K, right? And continuing with the video game analogy, right now in 2019, when you look back on video games from like 2000, do you really see a difference between like Dreamcast and the original Xbox? No. You look at that footage and you're like, they both look like garbage. But back in the day, all the marketing told us Dreamcast graphics are just superior. We bought into it. And maybe, there were slight differentiations, maybe it was slightly better, but when you get 10 to 20 years away from it, it doesn't matter. If you're within the current gen, if a major company like a Canon or a Blackmagic or a Sony, if they come out with a product, it's not going to be vastly inferior. It's going to be up to code. It's going to be up to what people expect of the current gen. So you can't really go wrong. You know how in current gen right now, it's like Xbox One versus PC and the graphics are so much better, but I guarantee you in 20 years, you'll look at footage of Red Dead Redemption 2, it'll look like that generation. You wouldn't even be able to tell if it was PC or if it was, a console. So in summary, as long as you're in the current generation, it's gonna all be the same. Listen guys, get your camera, buy the camera, and then forget about it until the next generation. It's the marketing department's job to highlight these small incremental spec superiorities, right? Like 13 stops of dynamic range or 12-bit color. Like they're smart. They know psychology. They know this stuff. They study this stuff. Human psychology determines what people buy and what will make people jealous. Like they know this stuff. They're playing into the fact that most of us are maximizers and that our society pushes us to be maximizers. But I'm saying it's as easy for us to just don't do it. It's a switch. So what did we learn today? The paradox of choice is Human behavior, we generally get stressed when we have too many options, and most of us fall into the maximizer group. The number one goal is to figure out what you need to do to become more of a satisficer. Keep your money, understand that it's placebo placed onto you by camera marketing departments or any marketing department. And rather than giving your money to a big corporation that doesn't need it, they're already very rich, go out to your local restaurant. Give people in your community your money. Stop watching YouTube about every new thing that comes out. Like, you don't need it. Tune back in when it's next gen. Keep a pulse on it. It's always good to know where technology is going, but you don't need to follow the minutia, right? It's like following a sports team, right? Like, do you really need to watch every play of every game, or can you just kind of like check the box score? Like, oh, that person. Watch highlights on YouTube. Okay, like, yeah, okay. I know what's going on, but I'm not heavily invested in it. It's not taking up large chunks of my time. So take the money you would have spent on getting that new camera, put it into your local economy, go out to eat, get your groceries at a mom and pop store instead of Walmart. Like, do something for your local community versus like always putting your money out towards people that already have enough money. It's not like you're gonna put Blackmagic Design out of business. They'll just restructure kind of how they do things, and rather than coming out with 4 different models within the current gen, they'll combine it all into one great model. So it's on us, the buyers. Like, we kind of just think like, yeah, they're gonna do what they're gonna, no, they're gonna follow what we do. So what we do is we make the decision within the current gen. Pick your camera, pick your company, do your research, make the decision one time within the current gen. That's more or less it. Paradox of choice. Daddy Luke signing off.